To finish the chapter off, we're going to talk about monopolistic competition. So far, we've focused exclusively on markets who have a fixed number of firms. We talked about the Saudi Arabia and Iran case in the last couple of videos. There we have two different firms. In that case, the firms were the countries. But in general, we've been limiting ourselves to models where there are no entries and exits. If instead there are no barriers to entry in a differentiated product market, then we have monopolistic competition. This is just a market structure characterized by many firms selling differentiated products and no barriers to entry. So let's look at the model assumptions here. First, the firms in the industry sell differentiated products that the consumers do not view as perfect substitutes. One of the big assumptions from the previous couple of sections was that the firms were all selling the same product and competing for the same customers. Now we're relaxing that. Second assumption is that other firms' choices affect each firm's residual demand curve. However, our third assumption is that firms ignore any strategic interactions between their own quantity or price choice and their competitors. And finally, the market allows for free entry and exit. So let's look at what the demand and cost curves for a product monopolist look like. Again, we have downward sloping demand curve. We have a marginal revenue curve that's about half of the demand curve. We have the firm's marginal cost curve and the average total cost. So how do we identify what quantity level the monopolist chooses to produce? As always, we say that the quantity occurs where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And like in the monopoly case, the price happens when you follow the quantity curve up to the demand curve. So we have P star here and Q star here. However, we have this point in between where the quantity level meets the average total cost curve. It's that area from where the quantity meets the average total cost to the quantity meets the demand curve that represents profit in this market. The equilibrium conditions, just as in perfect competition, entry will occur until the profits are equal to zero. However, unlike in perfect competition, this does not mean that price is equal to marginal cost. The firms always face a downward sloping demand curve, and entry will occur until demand is tangent with the average total cost curve. That's the point at which economic profits are exhausted. The implication for why firms don't set price equal to marginal cost is because of this differentiated nature. Each firm has some ability to price its own goods because its goods are not identical to their competitors. What does this look like graphically? We're assuming now that in the long run, entry occurs until it's no longer profitable. So because there's free entry in the market, the long run firms in monopolistic competition can't sustain a profit. So we have, as usual, marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. Draw the line up into the demand curve, and this is our price. But since the average total cost curve is now tangential to the demand curve, the quantity price equilibrium point meets here, and there's no economic profit to be made. However, since each firm faces a downward sloping demand curve, in the long run, average total costs are not minimized in monopolistic competition. So this point is not here, but up here. So costs aren't minimized in the long run.